So maybe you only think that Porsche built sports cars. Well, obviously you haven't been paying attention since 2003 when Porsche introduced its first SUV, the Cayenne. The Cayenne's been such a hit, it's made everything else possible. We wouldn't have today's 911s or Caymans or Boxsters at all. Porsche sold so many Cayennes that it's building a follow-up act, a compact crossover SUV that's a rival for cars like the Audi Q5 and the new Mercedes GLC. It's pretty fast and fearsome in its own right, so that's why we're taking you today for a video road test of the 400 horsepower Porsche Macan Turbo. The Macan is a cousin of the Q5 from Audi, but there's enough Porsche in the body and the hardware to make you forget that other German crossover. The Macan's a tall roof, short wheelbase reworking of the Cayenne's look with big front-end air intakes and a quickly sloping roof. At the rear, it's maybe at its most Porsche-like, with hulking haunches and slim LED tail lamps and a wraparound tailgate. Look at those exhaust tips. If they're round, you're following a lower power Macan S. If they're squared off, look out, it's a turbo. Of course, both the Macans on sale in the US today are turbos. The Macan S sports a forced induction 3-liter V6 with 340 horsepower, good for 0 to 60 times of 5.2 seconds, and a top speed of 156 miles per hour. It's a compelling piece of hardware until you jump up to the full turbo spec. When you get the Macan Turbo, you're pumping up everything. Boost, displacement, horsepower, top speed. Porsche says it'll do 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds, top speed of 164 miles per hour, and we should probably break it to you now. The base price, it starts at about $80,000. Both Macans get rear-biased all-wheel drive, a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission, electric power steering, and stop-start for efficiency, which we think is kind of a German joke because nobody is paying attention to gas mileage in this car, not once you drop the hammer on the Macan's throttle. If any SUV could be called unflappable, it's the Porsche Macan Turbo. All you have to do is put it in Sport Plus, put the transmission into manual, you've got instant control of all 400 horsepower, feed a little throttle into it, rips off huge Amtrak-sized chunks of pavement. It's just ungodly controllable and powerful. Attack a favorite country road and the Macan's smart all-wheel drive and precise steering absolutely nail the Porsche road feel. The Macan's traction management system keeps torque moving to the rear wheels at all times and sends a little to the front as needed, or even side to side across the rear wheels if it's fitted with torque vectoring and an electronically controlled locking differential across the rear axle. Even here in the North Georgia mountains, the Macan Turbo suspension setup keeps it as flat as Kansas. Base cars get a 5-link independent suspension setup. 3-mode air dampers are standard on the Turbo, and an air suspension is an option. And we've driven both setups on the track and on the street, and we think the air dampers alone are best. But with the air springs, the Macan Turbo can flick from bump-soaking highway cruiser to ruthless backroad carver just at the flick of a button. Just click it between the Comfort, Sport, and Sport Plus modes, and it raises and lowers the ride height for better stick, or even for better ground clearance if you're off-roading in this thing, which we think is about as likely as getting hit by lightning or eaten by a killer whale. You can have up to 9 inches of ground clearance if you need it. Take that, Subaru. On the practical side, the Macan Turbo is a little bigger than an Audi Q5 with a little more rear seat room and luxury touches like standard leather, power front seats that adjust 18 ways. The back seat's adult ready, and you can fold down the rear seats so they can carry home up to 53 cubic feet worth of stuff. Brace yourself when you step in though. Porsche loves buttons, and the Macan's dash and console are just dripping in knobs and switches and rockers on top of a touchscreen interface. It'll take you a while to figure out the controls, like the ignition to the left of the steering wheel, but once you do, Porsche says it's easier to work them on the go. It all starts with the basic $50,000 Macan, but by the time you've taken a spin through the order sheet, brace yourself again. With all the power features, safety tech like blind spot monitors, a 1,000-watt Burmester sound system, and custom trim like Alcantara seats and a carbon fiber dash, you're looking at more than $100,000. So the only option you can't order with a Porsche Macan Turbo is a button to tell you when your speeding luck is about to run out. Trust me, you're gonna need it. I'm Marty Padgett from Motor Authority. Thanks for coming along for the ride. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.